So neither of your sons are going to Duke, Kansas, etc. So maybe the NIL money isn't buying you a new home, but or you. But we're in a whole new world now in college basketball. And so how does that even enter in at a Southern Illinois or a Bellarmine where everybody's, all the news stories are, I just read one today, the going price for really, really, really great players, they're asking for $2 million to show up. And obviously Luke probably didn't demand that from the Salukis. But I just wonder how that also complicates it, because there's so many layers of what recruiting looks like now. Either of you?
Yeah, it's not a factor for us. And, with Sam, it's weird how it all Bellarmine, I had never heard of Bellarmine. And we had a school, coach had told us, hey, it was a fall day before his junior year, an open gym, and, this school's going to come visit you. Oh, and then there's a second school showing up. It's Bellarmine. I never heard of Bellarmine. It's focused on the first school that was going to be there. And,
well, they were Division II for a long time.
Yeah, and they had just turned Division I. And I think people, you've heard the story. They won their conference tournament.
First year.
Couldn't go to the NCAA tournament because of the 4-year deal. Mm-hmm. But when I looked up Bellarmine, I'm like, naturally, where are you going to go? You're going to YouTube it. And they were known as the school, the team that doesn't dribble. And it's pass, pass, pass. And Kevin said it, my sayings in life, and Coach Sanford from Columbia made shirts, keep it simple. Sharing is caring. And it was, they pass and cut. And it's like, oh my God, like this is, Sam isn't a go space the court and stand in the corner and wait for it to come to you. And I've always been a pass and cut and move and seeing their style of what it is. So it was kind of a fit right away. But, getting back to it, as far as NIL, we don't even think about it. And I want him to have, and maybe we're the minority, and maybe he asks me 2 years from now, we're talking like, boy, how did Sam end up somewhere? But, he's going to go there for 4 years. And I know that's not the case. And some people, the basketball people might say, well, that's crazy and you can't do that. But I want him to have the greatest experience that he can have. We love it, love the staff there, love the town there, love Louisville. And, it's far enough away that he's away. I like Churchill Downs, I like the horses a little bit. So that's a nice thing. But
fees are going up.
Yeah.
But it is, but I tell you, and I get it, like there's life-changing money for people out there. And who am I to say that this family can't, if somebody's going to offer you $500,000 to go somewhere, I completely get that. But it's, this is his one chance to play college basketball. And I want him to leave there with his jersey retired. I want him to have a plaque on the wall. I want him to, grow some, roots there. And so we're excited about it, but it is crazy. I mean, it's crazy when you look at the portal now and,
over 2,000 kids are in it. It's been open a week.
The smaller conferences. Yeah. I mean, it's kind of the thing. If you're a low D1 or mid-major and, it's the stepping stones, you make the all-conference team,
you're gone.
Then you're going somewhere else. And, and I get it. I completely get it. But it's crazy.
Yeah. So obviously Carbondale isn't a hotbed for throwing a lot of money at people either. But what are the sales pitches? Like when the coach calls, not Coach Nagy, but maybe Coach Nagy, but other people, when they call, what's the sales pitch? Man, we're going to build around Luke. He's going to be the greatest ever. Or, man, Sam, we had a guy like him 4 years ago, and we're going to, like, what are those sales pitches sound like?
So really with Luke,
and I love Coach Nagy, by the way.
He's great. Luke's a relationship guy. And so Javon Mayman was an assistant under Coach Mullins, and he was really on Luke, and we went down there and we did a visit, and it was great. And, you do all the pictures and you watch him practice, and it was great. There was no offer, which that's kind of part of the game too. You got to show that you're interested in dating, if you will. Right. And so we left, and, Luke loved their arena. He was really high on the Missouri Valley. He viewed that as a level that he wanted to aspire to and play in. And so when
Let me interrupt. There were some minutes, though, in this process where he's a Valley guy. Oh, maybe not. Some of the bigger schools were calling or talking about it.
Yeah, and, that's something you can talk about in recruiting, like offers, like a coach leaves or a coach gets fired, that offer's gone.
Sure.
And so all those early offers, everybody's posting, you get this offer as a freshman or a sophomore. Well, if that coach is gone, so is the offer, unless the new coach decides to reoffer.
Sure.
So yeah, he had interest at all levels, high and low, but he always loved the Valley. I've never really said this to him, but like when I think of good Valley teams, like when Carbondale had them with Ken Williams, or the Loyola team that went to the Final Four, I kind of feel like they all had a guy like Luke, like just a tough, hard-nosed kid that's not afraid of taking a big shot and not going to back down defensively. So I always thought, yeah, that might be a good spot. So when Coach Nagy came in, it took a little while, but then he kept Javon, and Javon reconnected. And it's funny, like I couldn't go when they asked him to come down. I had taken a day off at camp to go to another school with them, and then they wanted to come down right away. And I was kind of like, we've done this, right? They didn't offer last time as the new coach. So my wife took him, which was great because I've sort of handled all of that process with Luke. So she got to go.
And you and your wife never argue either. So I just was going to throw that in.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Love you. If you're still watching after 20 minutes. So they went down, and like Luke just really liked Coach Nagy. He hopped, like the internet's great. He hopped on and watched some Wright State games. He's like, yeah, I think this is the style. They kind of pitched the system and the style, and that they love shooters and all that. And, you know, Coach Nagy is pretty old school. And I think Luke kind of aligns to that because I'm pretty old school. So he felt very comfortable there. He liked the kids. Really wasn't too much of a sales pitch. And the NIL stuff, we're similar. I mean, we're not rich, but, you know, it's not going to make or break us if he, you know, and I've always told my kids, like, I don't choose to do this for the money. I do it because I love this place. I do it because I'm passionate about basketball. Like, don't make decisions about money. You end up not being happy. Money doesn't buy happiness. So he went to a place he was happy. He really liked the guys. He liked the coaching staff. The arena is great, and I think he sees the tradition of what Carbondale has been and is like, I want to be a part of bringing that back. And there's some parallels to like when he came into Vianney, kind of where our program was when he came in. We were kind of coming off of 2 or 3 not great years, but going back like, oh, we had been good, and that place was rocking. And so I think he feels like, hey, I want to be a part of building something again. So
those Cochran guys all could shoot, by the way. I did a bunch of their games back in the old days.
They all could fill it up.
So you said, Matt, I wish there was a recruiting for parents for dummies. What 2 or 3 things you look back and you think, man, I wish I would have known this, or I know this now, and you have a daughter that's maybe going to go through this at some point. Maybe you do too. What would you say to parents, or even to like fans, like dumb guys like me? I watch this and I think, well, why isn't he in the Missouri Valley? I'm still mad at you. But and fans, I watch, oh, he got an offer. He must be at this level. Like, tell us a little bit about what would you tell parents that are going to face this, look at this stuff?
Well, real quick to go back, we took a visit to Carbondale, and Luke's in a great spot. You know, coach is great there, and that was and that is an appealing part about the Valley. You know, when you put your dad hat on and you start thinking everything's 3 hours away, and that was I mean, that was a thing in our head.
We talked about it,
and he got and he got interest from a few different Valley schools, and you had that in your head, you know, but it was like you can't make a decision because what's convenient for dad and grandma and grandpa and doing that.
Sure.
You know, I think the biggest thing was, would you agree the most stressful year of this was the summer after his sophomore year? Like the summer, your pre-junior summer from a recruiting standpoint. It's the worst because you're analyzing everything and you're looking around and who's at the court and be frank, it's just, I didn't enjoy it enough. Now,
not as much fun now.
I did, and again, we're talking about the summer, and now it's fortunate. So Sam played, you know, for Gateway, and the coaches of the team were Dave Montanan, who is one of the founders of the Knights, and Jay Blossom. And Jay's won a couple games, and
he's done
Jay's
okay.
So you know, I was very fortunate, you know, and I was a assistant. When I say as an assistant, I had to let Jay know where we were going to eat after the game and buy him dessert. Jay likes his desserts. But I had wisdom in guys that were like, okay, Dad, turn your stress level down a little bit. Here's what it is. And that was, like I said, between Kevin's right. We felt like on Sunday evenings, we were calling each other in the car on the way home, like, all right, where are you at? What do you got? And Jay was great with that. But enjoy it, like right now, if you could, my son's got a Division I scout. He's going to play Division I basketball. But if you told me I could, what was it? Deal or no deal, or let's make a deal.
Yeah.
And I could cash it in. Oh, I'd start all over again. I'd go back to 4th grade and 3rd grade. I would do it all over again. I had so much fun. And that's the best part about youth sports is it's the families. Like my wife and I's best friends are Sam's teammates' parents. And that whole process and the same things that he did with the Sonics and us with Columbia, we were Columbia Blue, and all throughout it was the great experience. So you just can't get caught up in the I'm worried about this and I'm worried about this and everything college-wise, because what ends up happening is everybody gets so gung-ho on whatever their respective youth sport is, on baseball and this and that. And what happens a lot of times is kids realize, and this is a choice some make, do I want to go play NAIA or JUCO baseball, or do I want to go to Mizzou and be a student? Go to a Mizzou football game when there's 65,000 versus Alabama. I can see why a kid just wants to go be a part of that. Yeah. So we get caught up into that. So like that was the number one thing. And then the other thing, the reality of any sport, if you're good enough, you're good enough. They're going to find you. It isn't so much that I posted this on Twitter. They're not reading emails. Coaches aren't reading emails. So I'll just tell you right now, you can save your emails because
don't send emails.
Am I wrong on that one?
I talked to Terry Hollander when he was at Lindenwood, and I said, how many emails do you get? I said, in terms of like, hey, look at me, check out my, huddle's the greatest thing in the world, but everybody can create a huddle highlight video. Never seen a missed shot in a highlight video. And he's like, probably 50 a day. I go, he goes, from all over the world. And so, yeah, I never once reached out to a coach and said, hey, and a little bit different for me as a high school coach, and it's my son. Like for other players, I've done that. But with Luke, I was like, you know what? I kind of think your game speaks for yourself. Like they'll find you if they're doing their work. And I'll say this, like Luke, he was pretty good at the social media stuff. And it is amazing how many young assistants are on Instagram.
Sure.
And then DMing them like, hey, tell me more, give me your number, what's your coach's name? And it becomes an easy way for coaches to connect very quickly. But I'm kind of with you. I wouldn't change much. The stress piece is tough sometimes. Right. And I think because of social media, kids see, oh, this guy got this offer, this guy got that offer. Oh, and you just got to, hey, stay in your lane. It's going to work for you. Have a little faith in what you're doing. And yeah, it can be stressful.
Yeah. And I'll tell you, another thing was, you always worry. Again, why do I say these things about my wife on this? But, some people worry about, well, he only scored 4 points. He only scored 6 points, that bottom line. And we had a college assistant tell us there was a game that I think Sam threw up 3 air balls. And he could shoot the ball. And he threw up 3 air balls. But loose ball at half court, he took 3 steps and dove 15 feet and went after a loose ball. And he's closed out on defense. And I remember another coach, they look at the little things like, I like how you hedged that screen. I like how you helped there. So whereas the average parent is thinking, oh, he scored 16 points and he had this. If you're playing at that level, if you're playing, they know you can score. They know you can do things. They're looking at what are the other things. They're looking at what kind of teammate are you on the bench? How are you on timeouts? Those are the, I guess I'm just a believer in being simple and doing things the right way. But getting back to it, just enjoying it. We enjoyed I would say we enjoyed his summer for a senior more because I think, we probably won 5. We probably were about 5-15. I blame that on Coach Blossom.
So
So
of course,
we'll blame that win record on him.
Yeah.
Bad coaching,
Hall of Famer can take it.
bad coaching had nothing to do with the talent, but Sam committed in May. He just didn't want to go through it. He wanted to last summer to be, how can I make Columbia High School better? How can I along those lines? And I don't want to have to focus on me. So I did enjoy this past summer more than the previous one because you just don't have that, cloud over your head there.
Talk a little bit more about Bellarmine and the coaching staff there, like why Sam ended up there.
Yeah, and Sam is all about relationships. It's the same thing that Kevin said. Coach Sandstrom at Columbia has, I would say Sam, if maybe he picks me number one, but if Coach Sandstrom's right there with it. So it's what he's always been about. We knew it from the start. The assistant that initially started recruiting Sam, he for a variety of reasons, I think he's out of basketball right now. But Scott Davenport, the legendary coach, and his son Doug Davenport, who just took over the job. Scott retired. It was we just knew. You just kind of know, and that was the thing. Sam wanted to play, and my old high school mentor, coach Rich King, not Richard King. Rich King once told me, "You go where you're wanted," and he felt wanted there. And the style of play, when he went and took his visit, just everything from the team managers, from the doing the little things and seeing it. Bellarmine, it's small. It felt like home for him. We took a visit. We had to go to Philadelphia. He's playing in the Maccabi games, which is kind of like the Jewish Olympics, and went and took a visit there. He had a training camp or a tryout in Philadelphia, and Penn was a school that was interested in him. And I don't know if Sam's smart. Sam, I'm not sure you're smart enough for Penn, but we'll go with it maybe. Okay.
I think you're smart.
Yeah. But
I feel an argument coming between him and his wife right now.
But being in Philadelphia, my wife, my daughter would be like, I want to go to Philadelphia. I want to go to New York City. They're big town people. Sam and I were like, you kind of, was it the Beverly Hillbillies? When they went into the big town, they felt out of place a little bit. Yeah. We were like, okay, this is a little too busy for us. But anyway, seriously, with Bellarmine, the staff, the kind of kids that they're recruiting, we just knew. There was no doubt, and that was with all the other schools that came along. It was like, are they better than Bellarmine? Is it a better fit? And so that was we knew from the start.
And Southern with Coach Nagy, and you talked about an assistant coach was really the key to it at some point. And did that stay through really? Coach Nagy had to get involved, I'm sure, but was it that assistant that kind of?
Yeah. So when they went down in like the last week of June, I'll say this on the recruiting piece, for all the stuff with AAU, and it's funny, the amount of money and the travel, Luke's best recruiting moments were through the high school associations. So Missouri Basketball Coaches Association has an event in Kansas City. Illinois Basketball Coaches Association last year had an event in Bloomington. And so the kids play with their high schools. It's a live period. Over those 2 weekends, he played 8 games with Vianney all last spring and then in the summer with BB, to no fault of BB. It's just the way the UIBL schedule worked and the recruiting calendar. He played 4.5 games in front of college coaches. We went to the Peach Jam, which is the biggest event going, and they played a game and a half. We were there for 10 days and played a game and a half in front of college coaches.
Wow.
So the high school events for Luke really ended up being more beneficial. People obviously knew of him. The EYBL stuff, as I said, was great to prove that he could guard and he could handle the ball against pressure and get a shot off, and he showed all that. But with us, he was able to show everything. So Coach Nagy, they offered him when my wife and Luke went down. Coach Nagy came and watched him then live at Bloomington. And then Luke actually committed in July after Peach Jam. We were kind of waiting on a couple of things and he said similarly, like, Dad, what am I waiting on? Like, these guys want me. They show up for me. Coach calls me every couple of days. Like, I want to go where I know I'm wanted. I don't want to go where they're waiting to see, like, who else could they get. And I thought, that's pretty mature for a 17-year-old. So he committed from there. So yeah, Coach Nagy is great, and the staff there is great, and like he felt very comfortable.
Yeah. Wouldn't you say all along too? I would say we met some really good people. Like we were fortunate that people that recruited Sam, like they're good guys. They were solid guys. And in the end, a few, again, life lessons in basketball, when Sam decided on Bellarmine, he had a few phone calls to make, not a text, a few phone calls. Hey, coach, I want to let you know I've decided to do this. So again, another good life lesson in life that this whole process produced, but great people that, now it's kind of fun now as a sports fan, watching them play. And, a couple of those teams made the tournament this year, and it's, to be able to root them on and to see it. Yeah, it's a cool process.
Before we finish, SIUE went to the NCAA tournament this year.
Yeah, you know how many times I've had to explain? No, my son's going to SIUC because SIUE was in the news so much.
That's right.
No, Carbondale, it's different.
Yeah. So they go to the tournament. Lindenwood has, gone Division I and making some real inroads. I like Coach Gerdeman quite a bit, and Brian Baroni and I have become really good friends, really high in both of those programs. SLU is in a little bit of a renaissance too. Missouri had a good year. Illinois is always good. To me, that like elevates everything in the whole St. Louis area around Little League basketball, high school basketball, because people are thinking about basketball. I mean, you guys agree?
100%. Yeah, I think, are people talking more about hockey in the last month since the Blues won
110?
Right, sure they are. So when Mizzou's rolling, everybody's more excited. Illinois is rolling. The SIUE was an awesome story. And, when they were recruiting Luke, I mean, I told him, like, if you could play for a man like Coach Baroni, I would be very happy.
Yeah.
And obviously Coach Nagy is awesome too, but there are a lot of great people. And maybe because of the level that our boys are at, they're going to schools where you better have some high character and high quality people. They're just, that's what we dealt with. And so similarly, when you have to make some of those calls and say, hey, I'm not coming.
And you're in a different stage of the process. There were some schools, and again, completely understand, they wanted to see a little more Sam. I mean, he plays in a small town in Illinois, and we're not playing the overall competitive level that, Vianney might play during the season. So there are question marks about him. I think he's answered them after 4 years, but I get where they were. We just weren't ready. We had no desire to, like Kevin said, what are we waiting on? Like, this is my spot, and but no, I echo that about SIUE. Coach Baroni I was rooting for them.
Yeah. Tough draw.
Well, I appreciate your guys' time.
You think so?
Yeah.
He could have.
Tough draw.
Maybe him and Blossom. Yeah. They could have done a little more there, Coach.
What a year they had. I appreciate your guys' time. I wanted to talk about this and brag about your guys a little bit. I've met your son, and I might have met your son one time. I don't know, but you and I talked at the Missouri Valley tournament with your son, and we've been around each other a little bit. You talked about your family. The CNR thing is so cool, and you guys will have tournaments at our gym, and somebody's got to come and steal the money from the people on the way in, and it's your nephew, it's your aunt, it's your cousin. I'm like, this is really a family business.
I'm trying to get in. He's
trying to get on the family.
He's not. Can't get on the family plane yet, Eric. I'm trying though. I'm trying.
I appreciate your time. Sam Donald is going to be at Bellarmine, and you should root for him and watch him. And Luke Walsh is going to be at Southern Illinois Carbondale. Watch him, Luke. Watch him, root for him. I appreciate your guys' time today.
Yeah, can I say I think the best invention ever is ESPN Plus.
Oh, unbelievable,
no doubt.
Because when Luke first started getting recruited, we didn't have it right away, and I'm like, we're going to get this because Indiana State's interested in you. Let's watch them play. Oh, we want to watch SEMO. You get any game you want. So when Bellarmine's playing maybe on a Thursday, I'm going to sit down and I'm going to watch Sam if SIU Carbondale.
The problem with the station is they, I think they let anybody broadcast the game. And I don't know. I mean, I've seen this guy on a game before, so I don't. Man, anybody can do it, huh?
Anybody, just anybody. Here, I thought he was getting ready to say how good I was.
Right.
I felt like it, and then it took a bad turn.
Well, now you know.
Appreciate your time, everybody, for watching. That's Kevin Walsh, and that is Jeremy Donald. And man, I appreciate your guys' time. Remember, folks, since you've been there, make it a better place. You've been watching the Valley Hoops Insider podcast right here on the Valley Hoops Insider website. So long.